Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Ravens flock. What's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are enjoying your day. Well, it's finally here. The NFL has officially released the schedules for all 32 NFL teams. I'm happy, I'm excited, I can't wait to look at this schedule. Originally, I was going to wait a little bit longer to do so since the Heat are playing the Sixers right now, but since the game's right in front of me, I'm fine. I can go over this schedule right now. Not to mention, it's very interesting how our schedule ended up going. So let's get right into it. Week 1, the Baltimore Ravens will start their season on the road against the New York Jets. So we'll see how Zach Wilson and the crew prepare for the Ravens in Week 1. Week 2, we have our home debut of the season. We will come home to face off against the Miami Dolphins, which should be an interesting one because Miami is looking to make moves this upcoming season, getting Tyreek Hill. Let's see how that's going to pay off for them. It should be an interesting game for the most part, but we'll see how that goes. Week 3, we're going back on the road to New England, an old foe, to take on the Patriots. Should be an interesting one right there. We'll see what sort of progression Mac Jones will take in year 2. Should be a very interesting one, but we'll see how that goes. Week 4, which was a surprising one to me. I'll see how this goes. This could be one of those games that's like flexed to a primetime game. I thought this originally would be a primetime game, but I guess not. Week 4 against the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo will be coming to Baltimore to take us on in a 1 o'clock game, which we'll see how that works out. I thought this would be our primetime game, or at least our first primetime game, if it was to show up on the schedule early. But we'll take the Bills at Baltimore for a 1 p.m. game. That will probably most likely be flexed to a primetime game, depending on how the Week 4 primetime games look. Week 5, here we go. Our first primetime game of the season. Sunday Night Football in Baltimore against the Cincinnati Bengals. Our first divisional rival we will take on of the season will be the Bengals. That one is going to be a very interesting game. Cincinnati has been on some high-level energy. They've been on some high-level trash talk. Coming off of a Super Bowl run, they have been running their mouths, and they deserve it. They deserve it. Their team went to the Super Bowl. They won the division and went to the Super Bowl last year. And had they had blocking, there's a chance they could have won the Super Bowl. So, of course, you're going to talk as a fan. But, we'll see. We'll see how that works out for Cincinnati this season. Their schedule's a lot more difficult than it was last year, so we'll see how it works out for the Bengals. Week 6, we will be heading back to New York, this time to take on the Giants. Should be an interesting one there as well. Daniel Jones. We'll have to see how he continues to progress because, a lot of people, or at least, a good chunk of Giants fans believe in him and believe he could take the next step. They also believe if you surround him with the right protection and weapons, he will thrive. New York has done that. It's time to see what Daniel Jones is made of. Next up, Week 7 against the Browns at home in Baltimore. So this should be an interesting one. I have no idea what's going to happen with the Deshaun Watson situation. I don't even know if he's going to be playing in this game, but we'll see what happens with that. But Browns will be meeting us in Baltimore for Week 7. Week 8, we will be heading to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers on Thursday Night Football. That will be our second primetime game of the season. And to finish it off, because we don't have a lot of primetime games this year, back to back. So we have a Thursday Night Football game against the Bucs in Week 8 at Tampa Bay. Then we'll remain on the road to head to New Orleans this time to take on the Saints on Monday Night Football. Again, should be an interesting game. We will see what happens. After we deal with back-to-back primetime games, what happens with us? Well, it'll be Week 10. And Week 10 will be our official bye week. I love this. It's right where you want it to be. Week 10 is the perfect time to have a bye week. You have your first, 8 or 9 games? No, it'll be 9. Yeah, your first 9 games will be played. Boom. Weeks 1 through 9. Your last 8 games will be played in weeks 11 through 18. It's perfect. You couldn't ask for a better bye if you're Baltimore. That's the exact bye week you wanted. This works for us perfectly. I love it. So coming off the bye week, we will be finally playing a home game. The last 2 games were on the road, both primetime. So we'll be coming back home in Baltimore to take on the Carolina Panthers. That should be an interesting one. Don't exactly know how that one's going to go. After the Panthers, we'll be heading on the road to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars in Week 12. After that, we'll be returning back to Baltimore in Week 13 to take on the Denver Broncos with their newly acquired quarterback in Russell Wilson. So that one should be a really good game. Not sure why that's not a primetime game. You got Lamar Jackson and Russell Wilson. You know what? The NFL could easily flex this game too. We'll see. If they want to change things up, they can easily change things up. But, I don't know. I'm just really surprised that the Bills and Ravens wasn't a primetime game. But we'll see what happens. Following that Week 13 matchup, we've got Week 14. We'll be heading to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. So we'll be on the road there in Week 14 to take on the Steelers. And just like last year, you're going to have a back-to-back situation where you're dealing with divisional foes. It's very interesting how they're making the schedule towards the end of the season. They've been doing this a lot more frequently now. Because Week 14, on the road against Pittsburgh. And then after that, we'll remain on the road. And we'll be heading to Cleveland this time to take on the Browns. So we'll be at Steelers for Week 14, at Cleveland for Week 15. Interesting. Back-to-back matchups here between divisional rivals late in the season. We'll see how that works out for Baltimore. Week 16, we will be coming home to take on the Atlanta Falcons. After that, we will at that point host the Pittsburgh Steelers in Week 17. And to finish off the season, we'll be on the road Week 18 at Cincinnati against the Bengals in what could be a game that determines the division. It could be just like, last year where it comes down to the wire to see who wins the division or who makes the playoffs. So, yeah, it's a very interesting schedule. I like how there's, I'm going to say I like, but we have a lot of situations where we're just on the road for back-to-back weeks. Like Week 8 and 9, both primetime games, we're on the road. Week 14 and 15 against divisional rivals, we're on the road, back-to-back weeks. Okay, Week 4 and 5 is the only time. Yeah, Week 4 and 5, and then Week 16 and 17 are the only two times we have back-to-back home games. The way they've spread it out the road games is a little bit weird. I liked it when we have the format of being at home and then being on the road. Being at home and then being on the road. But yeah, this is a very interesting schedule. It's not as difficult as you would expect it to be, but there's a lot of interesting matchups. Obviously, I'd probably spend a little bit more time and see how the team comes together. So in terms of making a prediction for what our record's going to be next year, I don't want to do one now, but if we were to just throw one out, way too early predictions, the Ravens will go 12-5. That would be my prediction. They go 12-5. They'll be in it. They'll be within the playoff bound area. Let me see. No. If it's 12-5, they'll have a shot to compete for the division. They'll be competing with Cleveland and Cincinnati and maybe even Pittsburgh to see who wins the division. But 12-5 should at least give them a playoff spot. I believe so. Though with the way the AFC is looking this year, 12 games or 12 wins might not be enough. So we'll see. But I think Baltimore can get, and at least if everyone stays healthy, I have to make sure. So let me backtrack for a second. If everyone stays healthy, or at least most of the team stays relatively healthy, our main guys stay healthy, and we continue to have the depth and the guys we have and all the talent we lost last year, if we get them back and they stay healthy, Baltimore will go at least 12-5. I can see a 13-4 season. If we're really rolling, I can see potentially a 15-2. So I think the highest we can go is 15-2. Lowest we can go is 12-5. So I can see a 13-4. I can see a 14-3. I can see a 15-2. So highest is 15-2 if Baltimore is just rolling and looking like the best team. Lowest would be 12-5. But we'll see how it goes. We will definitely see how it goes. With that being said, I'm going to end it off here. I want to get back to this game in which Miami is just beating the crap out of Philly. They look dead right now. So I got to get back to this game. Appreciate you guys watching. And with that being said, that is all I've got, Ravens Flock, and I'm out of here. Peace!